I can see codependencies everywhere because so much stuff that is triggering, it appears often that it's outside or someone or that or the weather or whatever, when really it's my upset. Now, that doesn't mean there might not be a request or something to be shifted. It's the charge behind it. And oftentimes I find that charge comes from stories and experiences from way past that moment. So they're like neurosynaptically imprinted, and they get triggered by, and when we're in relationship, we get even more triggered because that's family and that's all the old experiences and it's home. And that's when we really get the rawest or the most intimately potentially exposed to all that. So what's key, I find, is having tools to keep on the path of transformation, and transformation being the thing that we most deeply desire, and keep moving towards that, and really being able to recognize our story about, it's over there and I can't do anything, and just giving up. And that's what I see a lot of relationships. That's what happens. The triggers happen, and if I get out of this one, it'll be okay in the next one. And like George Carlin said, wherever you go, there you are. So the opportunity in relationship is really to see something about yourself that you otherwise wouldn't see,
Right.
and also to learn to allow the other to be totally who they are.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true that, I remember like certain times that where I was single in my past, and which wasn't very often. That was one of another codependent tendency. It was go from one to the next. And I just remember like having this experience of like this year-ish long period of time where I'm like, wow, I'm not triggered by anything now. Like I'm good. Like everything's fabulous. And it was so interesting to remember those times. And then getting back into a relationship with someone, that's when things started coming back up again, those triggers, the reflection. And so, yeah, that is our greatest opportunity for sure.
Yeah, also that, when this comes up, where this pattern of that we can call codependencies, where we have a neediness or something is really considered that it's produced from the outside, it's really coming from the inside out, and that if we take it, is really the next level of evolution. And so then to take relationship, to go towards the relationship, to go towards that, what is most disturbing? Because I just, as you described so beautifully, we can move from relationship to relationship. That's one option. But guess what? For one thing, we will always meet the same Elspeth or the same Freddie. Because, as
We
Freddie
keep
said,
recreating.
wherever we go, there we are. And so then the relationship becomes the space for clearing that what eludes us.
Mhm.
And that is where then freedom can arise, because that is what it's all about, loving freely,
Mhm.
not with a story of burden or I need this. Without it, without that feeling, without that connection, without that approval, without that acknowledgement, I cannot I cannot feel myself.
Loving freely.
Back then that it's internally sourced, where I acknowledge myself, where I validate myself as a state of being, not just from here, but that it then starts to begin to live in the body, in the nervous system. And that's usually a process that doesn't happen overnight.
Right. Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that internal validation, because that is something that I'm sure most people watching right now have the experience of wanting to get it outside of us. And my experience over the years has been that there have been times where I was really struggling and unaware and unconscious, where I feel like I'm literally like trying to grasp at people to get, like metaphorically speaking, right? Like grasp at that validation because I so need it.